They expelled the humble farmer from first class, until she showed her private jet and silenced. When an old, humble-looking woman boarded the first-class cabin of a luxury flight, whispers and smirks spread among the passengers. Dressed in a plain cotton dress and muddy shoes, she didn't fit the image of the elite. One elegant woman even called the flight attendant, demanding, "She doesn't belong here." But what no one knew was that this farmer wasn't just any woman from the fields, she was the owner of one of the largest organic empires in the country. What happened after she was insulted shocked everyone, especially when the flight landed, and a sleek private jet waited just for her. This is the story of humility, hidden strength, and the priceless moment when arrogance meets its lesson in the skies. Martha Jenkins was known in her small town as Farmer Martha. With her sunburned face and calloused hands, she spent her days tending to acres of organic farmland. She had no fancy clothes, no makeup, and her hair was always tied in a simple bun. But beneath that humble exterior lay a woman who had built an empire. She owned hundreds of acres, supplied produce to international brands, and secretly ran a foundation supporting rural women. One day, Martha had to fly to New York to sign a partnership deal. Her assistant booked her in first class, knowing the client expected her there. When Martha arrived at the airport, she carried her small bag, no designer luggage, no entourage. As she boarded, she could feel eyes staring. The businessman beside her gave a forced smile, while a wealthy woman across the aisle scoffed loudly. "I think economy is back there, dear." The flight attendant hesitated, clearly unsure if Martha belonged there. Martha simply smiled, showing her boarding pass. "Seat 2A, she said kindly. But the whispers didn't stop. The woman next to her muttered, "People these days fake anything." The flight attendant even double-checked her ticket, saying, "Ma'am, are you sure this is correct?" Martha nodded gently. "Yes, I am." But inside, her heart ached. She wasn't embarrassed, just saddened at how quick people judged. She had once been poor and invisible, and it seemed that no matter how much she achieved, people still saw her as less. If this story touched your heart, remember, true wealth isn't in what we wear, but in how we treat others. Like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories that remind us what real class truly means. As the plane took off, Martha quietly read documents about her upcoming deal. The rich passengers around her ordered champagne, chatting about luxury cars and expensive vacations. The elegant woman beside her, Mrs. Carter, leaned over and said, "You must be lost, dear. What do you do? Gardening?" Martha smiled softly. "Something like that." Mrs. Carter laughed. "Oh, how sweet. You must have saved a long time for this seat." The businessman in front joined in, adding, "They should reserve first class for people who actually belong here." Martha's calm eyes stayed on her file. "Sometimes," she said, "those who truly belong don't need to prove it." Hours later, as the plane began descending into New York, the pilot's voice came over the intercom, "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be landing shortly. Ground control has requested passengers in 1A and 2A to disembark first for priority transport." The same flight attendant who had doubted her looked surprised. "Ma'am, that's you." Martha nodded, gathered her bag, and thanked everyone with a smile. The murmuring began again. Priority transport? For her? As the door opened, a black SUV and two suited assistants waited on the runway. The pilot himself greeted her, "Miss Jenkins, your jet is ready for departure." The cabin went silent. Mrs. Carter's mouth dropped open. The businessman turned pale. "Her jet?" Someone whispered. Outside, the sunlight glistened on the silver wings of a private jet bearing the logo Jenkins Organic Enterprises. The pilot saluted as Martha stepped out gracefully, shaking hands with her team. Cameras flashed. Her company was about to finalize a $200 million deal to expand sustainable farming across the nation. Mrs. Carter and the others watched through the cabin window in disbelief. The woman they mocked for her muddy shoes was, in fact, a multimillionaire philanthropist and CEO. Before boarding her jet, Martha turned back. She approached the stunned group, smiling kindly. "Don't ever judge a seed by the dirt around it," she said. "It's often the ones closest to the ground that grow the tallest." The attendants bowed respectfully as she boarded her jet. The engines roared, and within minutes, her plane soared into the sky, while the passengers she'd left behind sat in silence, realizing how small arrogance truly looked next to grace.